Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Blooming dog. 1 minute he wants to play, the next minute he doesn't. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. Welcome back everyone, it's Mike here. So today it's time to do one of my April Heroes and Heroines pages. So let me turn over to my overhead camera and show you, if you haven't guessed by the thumbnail already, who I'm going to be doing today. Okay, so this is my Heroes and Heroines journal. So I've opened it up to the next double page spread. Now, on the previous one, I did male and then I did female. So on this side, I'm going to do female and then I'm going to do male. So today, I'm obviously working on this one. So I've cut a piece of black cardstock, just box standard black cardstock. Actually, this is a page from one of the Dilutions black 8x8 journals because I've run out of black cardstock. I need to get some more from the store. But this will do just as well because I want to just create a bit of a black frame on this page. And this is my background image that I want to add onto it. So there's just a couple of millimeters all the way around, maybe about 1/8 or 2/8 of an inch. No, about 1/8 of an inch, I'd say. 2/16, I think I meant to say. Just to give it that little bit of a border all the way around. But one of the things that I am going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing the page in monotone. And when I say monotone, I mean it's just going to be black and white, with the exception of using a little bit of vintage photo. Now, normally I add vintage photo to pretty much everything, because you know that's just what we do. We turn kind of black and white stuff into sepia tone, just give it that kind of old, grungy kind of edge. But with today's page, it's a little bit more poignant, that we do kind of a vintagey feel to it, because I'm celebrating somebody today that we only really saw in black and white in those old silent movies. So hence the movie reel in the background. So originally this was just a black and white grungy background, and then I did a search on one of those free graphics websites. I think it was PNG Free, I think it was called, and I found this film reel which I was able to overlay on top of the grunge in my Photoshop program to create this background. So what I'm going to do, just use some of this spirit glue. Actually, what I should be doing is using the larger tub, because this is a larger area, saving the smaller, precise one for the smaller items that need a bit more precision. Because that would make sense, wouldn't it? Yes, I hear you say. Right, so let's get this glued down, and as the song goes, let's get this party started. Right, of course, spirit glue, because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't grab immediately, so it gives me enough time just to manoeuvre the piece to get that even sort of background, or that even frame border. And I've got a second or two just to adjust it if it's not quite straight, if it's not quite right. I've got that time to play with doing it. Hello, are you back? Hello. What? Eh? I bet you've left Teddy in the bedroom, haven't you? Yes, you have, haven't you? You've left Teddy. I've just had a visit from Mr. Bentley. Hello. I know. Right, so I'm not going to glue it down just yet. I'm actually going to work just on that, and then at the end I think we'll glue it down onto the actual journal itself, just for a change. Now, all of the elements that I've got I've already cut out, because nobody got time to watch people cutting out, as I've said many times before, or watching paint dry. It just doesn't work. Alright, so like I said before, if you hadn't guessed from the thumbnail on the beginning of the video, my subject for today is Sir Charles Spencer Chaplin. I say Sir because in 1975 he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth. Because he was British. He was born on the 16th of April, hence him being in the April page, 1889 in South London. Now, apparently there are no particular records or no exact records of which borough in South London he was born, because they can't locate his birth certificate. They can locate the birth certificate of his father, so, Charles Spencer Chaplin Sr., but not the birth certificate of Charles Spencer Chaplin Jr., who this is. So that's real name. So like I said, born on the 16th of April 1889. So, and again, to put it into historical context, a year after the Ripper murders. I know. It's frightening to think about, isn't it? And of course, Charlie was very active in the States, movie career right the way through, from 1913 right the way through to the 40s, and still made a film, I believe, in the 70s. He actually appeared in a film in the 70s before his death. But yeah, right the way through. So, 100 years ago, he would have been the highest paid actor in the world. 100 years ago, the highest paid. Can you believe it? Anyway, well, no, I'm sure you can believe it. Anyway, right, before I get any further, obviously, that's the character that he played. So this is a photograph of Charlie Chaplin in character. So this is the character of the tramp that he was famous for. So this is what it looked like behind the camera. So for the first time, I'm actually going to include two photos. It would be like doing a modern day version of doing, say, Andy Serkis and only putting a picture of Gollum or Smeagol. You know, you can't really just put somebody's character on there. It would be like putting Chris what's-his-face, Thor, Hemsworth. Just putting a picture of Thor on there and not actually putting a photograph of Chris Hemsworth. It wouldn't be right. But I do want to include the photograph of the character of the tramp, but this is Charlie behind the camera, because not only was he an actor, he was also a producer, but not a lot of people know, he was also a musician and also a composer, and actually wrote the music to a lot of the films that he produced, and don't know whether he actually directed. Can't really find any reference in directing movies, but definitely produced, definitely wrote the musical score, and definitely starred in. Not 100% sure whether or not he actually directed. So we're going to be placing our two photos there, I think. So, but this one, for definite, is going to go there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a small amount of glue just on the back of that one there, just to hold it in place, just for now, because I might tuck something underneath the edge. So that's just to kind of hold it in that position so it doesn't blow away. Okay, so, and I've dropped something on the floor. Right, I'm going to have to go hunt for it. Back in a second. Okay, found it now. It's one of those things where it just drops on the floor and then it disappears and you can't find it for ages and ages. Okay, right, so I did say I was going to just tack that piece down there, didn't I? So, having kind of looked at my rough hand-drawn sort of sketch that I did about how I wanted the layout to look, and I'll talk to you a little bit about sketches and layouts, compositions, in a little while. Okay, so let's just glue that one down to start off with. Now, like I've just said, I did kind of sketch out on a piece of paper sort of an idea of how I wanted to lay this art journal page out. So beforehand, so then I knew kind of like what size I needed to, what size the pieces that I wanted to put on the page would include and that kind of thing. Because, you know, planning beforehand, because I don't want to start doing an art journal page and then not know where anything's going to go, because then I'd look like a complete idiot then, wouldn't I? Even more so than I do normally. Right, so that, I've done a couple of movie posters, so Charlie's movie posters, including, of course, his most controversial one, of The Great Dictator. Because that was the one, obviously, that was just a parody and a complete a p-take, if you like, of Hitler and his grab for power. So back in the day it was very powerful, and he did get a lot of bad publicity and flack for doing it. Right, so let's put that one down first of all, just there. I think about there, just coming over. And then this one, I think I'm going to put about there. I reckon about there, I think. Just build up this side first of all. But before I do that, I want to grab some of this faux washi tape. Obviously I went looking for some film strip, which is perfect. I don't have any film strip washi tape, so I created my own. So literally just created some strips, found the film strip and just resized it to what I wanted for this page. So let's have some of that, I think, under here. Yeah, I think so. And we'll have that about there, like so. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. So let's get this down first of all, but let's put some, just disguise those raw white edges, because there ain't nothing worse. It just finishes it. There's no other reason really for going around the edges with a pen or with a bit of distressing with any kind of complementary colour to what you're using in your project. Then it looks nicer if you hide the raw white edges of any items that you've cut out. Well, I think so anyway. You may disagree. Okay, so then we've got A Dog's Life, which is one of my favourites. Now, growing up, I used to love to watch the black and white movies on Sunday afternoons, and I very seldom, or very, very seldom, showed any Charlie Chaplin movies. They showed plenty of kind of like Laurel and Hardy because they were kind of talkies. But because Charlie was predominantly silent, then they didn't really show many on TV of Charlie's films, which is an absolute shame. So when there was one on, I'd make a beeline to watch it. I would absolutely love it. But I also loved the Laurel and Hardy films as well. And obviously Buster Keaton and Buster Keaton and those kind of things. Absolutely adored watching those. But I loved Laurel and Hardy. In fact, when I was growing up, one of my party pieces was singing the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. I learnt the words off by heart and still know it today. When I was talking to Ian about doing this page, I actually just sang it off the cuff. I hadn't sung it for, must be, nearly 35 years. And I remembered every single word. But what was funny is that he also joined in. He also knew the words, which is just completely bizarre. It's not one of those things that you talk about. Oh, do you know the words too? You just don't know, do you? You just don't know people. But anyway, yes. So love that. So anyway, so a bit of trivia about Charlie. So obviously he was born in London. He joined Fred Karno's circus, and then travelled across to the US, where he was spotted by a talent scout who worked for the Keystone Studios, same studios that did the Keystone Cops, and that's where he got famous. So that's how it happened. And he stayed in the US. And didn't actually leave the US again until the early 1950s, at the height of the McCarthy communist witch hunts. And that's where, around about, the legend of Charlie's money kind of came from. If you don't know about the legend of Charlie's money, that because Charlie lived through the Great Depression in the 30s, he had a kind of distrust of the banks, and so didn't like to keep all of his money in the bank. So legend has it that he buried $1 million in cash in his backyard or in his garden, because he didn't trust the bank. So if anything happened, like the great crash ever happened again, he wouldn't be without money. So that's what happened. So in 1952, I think it was, when he was planning to make a trip back over to the UK with his then new wife, Una, who was considerably younger than he was. He was 53, 54 at the time, and she was only 18. I know, again, it was a controversial marriage, but they all said that she was only marrying him for his money, but they did stay married right the way through to his death in 1977. Incidentally, he died on Christmas Day, December the 25th, 1977. So that really wanted to go underneath. Has it stuck yet? No. Good, right, okay. Yes, so in 1952 they came across to the UK, and as he was leaving, or preparing to leave to come to the UK with Una, he received a notification from the FBI. And remember, it's right at the height of the McCarthy witch hunts for communism and all that kind of stuff, where everybody and his mother and dog were being accused of being communists. He was told that if he came back, he'd have to appear before the authorities and face charges that he was a communist sympathiser. So, because he'd already gone through lots of bad publicity with acrimonious breakups with his first wife and all that kind of stuff, and he'd obviously had lots of bad press with the great dictator, he decided not to come back. And so settled in Switzerland. But of course, there was all that money. There was the $1 million still buried in the back garden of his home. But he still owned the home. So a few years later, obviously when they'd settled in Switzerland, they decided that they'd go and retrieve the money. Because obviously, leaving the US, he'd left most of his wealth behind as well. So his wife, Una, travelled back to the US under the pretense of visiting sick relatives, and went back and retrieved the $1 million from the back garden. She converted it, apparently, into $1,000 bills and had them bundled and sewn into the lining of a mink coat that she then wore on a return trip back to Switzerland. So rescued the $1 million that was buried in the back garden of the property. I presume after that the property was sold. So I'm not sure, where that property was in. Was it in Beverly Hills? Yeah, Beverly Hills. So I'm just having a look at my notes to the side. Yes, it was in Beverly Hills. Okay, so we've got 3 pieces of that washi tape now, creating that kind of visual kind of travelling. But I'm going to add a fourth. I'm going to add a fourth because I think it's just going to nicely frame Charlie. So I'll just add a bit more of that. So yeah, so he was born in 1889, died in 77, so that makes him what, 89 or 88 or 89 when he died? I did write it down somewhere, but anyway, I can't find it. I can't see it. I can't see my notes. Right, so I'm going to put that piece of film strip across the bottom there, just to kind of finalise that corner and that edge. Like so. And then of course I need to put that iconic silhouette of the tramp as a kind of accent onto the page as well. So that's going to go just there, like that. So we've got 3 of his famous films: The Kid, The Great Dictator, and It's a Dog's Life, which is an absolute fantastic film. So we'll add that on there. So, and I've done that so that the bottom of the film poster's here, and that breaks into that image there, and also breaks into the portrait of his tramp character, and that's the iconic silhouette, really. Show that to anybody and they know exactly who it is. It's like showing somebody a silhouette of a lady holding an umbrella and a bag. You just know who it is. Just instinctively know it's Mary Poppins. Right, okay, so just to finish off then, so there's the name plaque. So Sir Charles Spencer obviously received his knighthood in 1975 from Queen Elizabeth for his services to the film industry. So date of birth 16th of April 1889 and died on the 25th of December 1977. So, and has a complete plethora of children and grandchildren that are also working as writers, actors. So quite a few that have carried on his legacy. So I'm going to put that going just across there like that. All in black and white, because all in black and white. It had to be, didn't it? So I'll just pin that down there. And now we can bring the journal back in again. And then I'm just going to have a little conversation while I'm sticking this down then about compositions. Right, so I get lots and lots of comments about the layouts and compositions, about how I make it look so easy, about where to put stuff and all that kind of stuff. It isn't really rocket science about how to lay out items or how to create a composition. And I know a lot of people struggle with compositions, but they all kind of follow a similar theme, really, when you think about it. I mean, it's like this one. If you look at the placement of the images, they're all coming down in a left to right diagonal, predominantly. And if you look at the Barbara Hepworth one, it's also coming down in a left and right diagonal. If you look on this one, they're coming down in a right to left diagonal. You might have things in the background, but predominantly that's the way that they work. And again, Charlie, right to left, all coming down. You're just staggering it down the page. Occasionally you break that up. So William Morris, you've got, again, that kind of stepping coming down. And for Vera, again, you've got that kind of stepping down this way with a few other items coming off at the odd angle. And if you look at this one, Charlie, 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 in that kind of diagonal coming across the page that way, they're all pretty much the same, but they all look different because it's the colours that you use and the actual images that you use in the background and in the foreground, and then you break it up with your washi tape or the smaller items to create visual interest that really make a composition work. But and here's the big kick in the rubber parts for everybody, right? You don't have to struggle with a composition and a layout. Okay, all you have to do, if you're thinking about doing a kind of paper collage like this, and this is kind of a paper collage, it's not really a montage, it's more of a paper collage, because there is a difference between a photo montage and a collage. All you have to do if you're struggling with layouts is just go to Google or your preferred search engine and type in scrapbook page or scrapbook sketch layout or layout sketch. Now, the predominantly scrapbook pages are square or double page spreads, either square or a double page. So you're going to get a landscape spread or a square spread, either 12-inch or 8 inches. And those sketches have been worked out and laid out by scrapbookers, card makers for years. There are thousands and thousands of suggested layouts for scrapbook pages that you can easily adapt or get inspiration from for your collage journal pages, because they layer photos with embellishments, with bits of trim, where they show using bits of lace or punched borders you can swap out for washi tape and that kind of stuff, and where they've got big words for, you know, like happy or smile or sunshine or us or whatever, you can replace with other words. You know, I could put the word movie in here, you know, or hero or something like that. So if you're stuck for inspiration and you're not really sure where to go, but you want to create a composition, to get that inspiration, just do a search for scrapbook layout sketch, and you'll see that there are thousands and thousands on the tinterwebs to get inspiration from. So there you go. So that is my heroes page for Charles Spencer Chaplin, all in monotone. I've left that page there because I'm going to be doing my female one, who you probably haven't heard of. My female one is going to be a Russian painter. You may not have heard of her, but there you go. But this one I just had to do in black and white. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create that collage art journal page for my heroes page for April. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. And one other point, if you follow my videos and stuff from my blog and you have my blog bookmarked, then you probably won't have updated it for my new website. So what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description area below to my new blog. So if you have got an old link, you can then update that link so it goes directly to my new blog page on my new website. There you go, because at the end of this month that old website will be disappearing completely. It is still there in the background. You can still get to it, you can still access it from old links and things, but you just can't buy anything from it. So my old blogs, you can still log in and download anything that you haven't downloaded yet. You've still got time to do that by the end of April, but at the end of April I will be closing it down completely. It will disappear forever, So there you go. Right, that's all from me for now then. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.